a weapon. A thing that is used to harm a person, place, thing, and or idea. And I'm not rating them on just weapons. I'm rating them on usability and other things like that. Now, how the rating system works, it's a scale of 1 to 5. 1 being you're better off just using your hand because it serves like no purpose other than that. Just being there. Or they have one purpose that isn't good for weapons at all. I forgot one. 2 being they're better in your fist, and chances are they have a better purpose or a pretty okay purpose. 3 being most of your standard weapons are going to go there. They don't necessarily have a purpose or they're decent at one thing or another. 4 means that they're closer to perfect. They have multiple uses. They can be used for things that aren't weapon related. And chances are you'd want to carry them on a day-to-day. And 5, God tier, which means they're quick to use, easy to use. Also, I have to mention that I will be rating things off of how easy they are to use at the same time. Quick to use, easy to use, and just overall perfect. Now, they don't have to be exactly perfect, but they have to be good enough to actually warrant you carrying them. And we're going to start with pencils. Now, why do I have 2 here? No, I'm not dual wielding. I am going to use my fist first, but I have to show you the pencils. Now, your hand. There's a reason we have developed 5 digits. And don't worry, that is just a random wound I got somewhere while playing with knives. There's a reason we developed 5 digits. And natural, weapon capabilities. But it's not perfect at damage, which is why for damage, I use my hand as a basis. Now I got rather large hands. And, due to my 6'4" nature, hold on, I need something for scale. Here's a fidget spinner for scale. Pretty decently large hands. Personally, out of damage, I can go relatively high due to my hand structure, but I don't have much cardboard to use as a training dummy, and I have a lot of things to get through. So chances are I'll be stuck hitting traffic cone, which I don't want to do that. But to know that I can do a lot of damage with my hand, so out of usability, and you can train your hands to do more damage than most weapons, I'm gonna have to rate this a 3. Solid, usable, and it's like the basis for multi-tool. Next is a pencil. Used for writing, and I guess it's okay, it does pretty decent damage, but it also depends how you use it. Because there's 2 ways you can use it as a weapon. Also, you can write with it, so I have to give it points for that. 2 ways you can use it as a weapon. Number 1, you could throw it. I said you could throw it. Or you can stab with it. Both ways work. It really depends what you need to do with it. And that's that. I do also find throwing it really satisfying. I mean, just look at hit it. I didn't even penetrate, and that felt satisfying. I'd rate it a 2. It's better than nothing, but it's better as a tool than anything else. Use it as a tool. Next, the Nexus Pro. Now, as a Nerf gun, it gets bonus points for usability because you can shoot your buddies with it. But it will be dragged down since it is not exactly the best. And as you're going to see right here, that's a lot of damage for a fucking Nerf gun. Damn it, I fucked that up. I don't have a stand, and I don't want to show my face, so a stand is pretty much useless. It does really, really heavy damage for what it is. That one ricocheted. But all three did some pretty good penetration damage. And because it's a Nerf gun, it gets a few bonus points for both target practicing. And a trick that my parents learned is that you teach kids at a young age with firearms. You teach what they need to know with firearms. So that you don't have to restrict them in the future because, well, as a teenagers really like to try doing what they couldn't do as children. Now, you should still put restrictions, but teaching them how to use them at a young age is definitely the best thing you could do. Next, wooden knife. It's a one. They're just really cool to have. I guess you could throw it, and it does damage. Just use your hand. Next is a screwdriver. Now, at first, I was going to stab with it, but I will rate it first. I'm going to rate it like a 2. Yeah, it's better as a tool, but it will do well as a weapon, and you can throw it pretty well as stab it pretty well. So, that works. Next is a pair of scissors. Watch, if you take a screwdriver and unscrew this, it becomes 2 small knives. I.e. shit knives nonetheless. You could, I guess, for utility-wise... Did I rate the screwdriver? Yeah, I did. Utility-wise, it'll be a 2. They're sharp. That's why they say don't run with scissors. They are some of them can be surprisingly sharp, and I actively sharpen my scissors so that I have a relatively clean cut without any issue. So that bumps up to a 3, which is the first standard weapon, even though it's a pair of fucking scissors. Again, really good for throw. That almost hit me in the foot. Really good for throwing, though I don't suggest it. Next, a small multi-tool I bought at Walmart when I was like 7. Now, I don't know why my mother let me. I think it was actually me with my dad, so I guess I never used this for anything more than like tinkering and carving cardboard and stuff. And look at that little thing. It's like completely fucking harmless. Though it is still a knife, so its utility gets bumped up to like a 2 because it's a knife. Knives, in my opinion, are tools. They're very good as weapons if you use them as weapons, but in my opinion, they're best as tools. Now, for damage-wise, I guess it could do some damage if you, like, hit them correctly, and if you, like, stab them, I guess. But the knife's just not big enough to do any lasting amount of damage. So just use the multi-tool as what's intended, a multi-tool. So it's going to be a 2, because, well, yeah, the scissors got more than that. Next is the Swiss Army knife I actually got from Switzerland. This is engraved with my actual name. If you want me to go to Switzerland and record a video and get it engraved with my YouTube name, comment Swiss cheese. Comment Swiss cheese with a D, or Swiss cheesed, if you want to see me try to attempt to legally, I have to say legally, buy an MG1. Now, this thing is fucking sharp. In fact, I used it in my job before I quit my job for convenience reasons, since it was a 40-minute drive and there was openings like right next door, like 5 minutes down the road. For a fucking weapon, it's best as a utility. I have to say that. It's an automatic 2 for a utility, which is a very common theme. Automatic 2. But for damage, it is really fucking sharp. In fact, I gotta get down here to show you how sharp it is. What I mean by really fucking sharp, I mean that sharp. Like, it's satisfying. And it just doesn't fucking dull. Like, these things are really well made. So if you go to Switzerland, get yourself one of these, or one of these. It doesn't matter what you use it for, whether it's a tool or a weapon, whatever. Get yourself one of these, because there's so many variants that there's no reason not to use them. And if you can find anything better than this, fucking take it. Next is A Swift blade. No, I know it's a butterfly knife. Like, I know for a fact it's a butterfly knife. It's a training one. It's dull. This one I got for free, essentially. Because, well, it was left at the house and the person who owned it just didn't want it no more. I'm not going to even try doing that. As you can see, it's a little bit modified so that it actually stays together. It's shit. But butterfly knives, they have a role. They can be hidden. They can be tucked away pretty well. I frankly suck at them. But there's room for improvement. And because it's dull, this one's dull. It doesn't do good damage. It's relatively good stabbing for no fucking reason. And I guess you could... If it was actually sharp, it would immediately go to like a 2, because knives just go up to a 2. Just based off utility purposes. That's about it. Utility purposes. Next, a knife. Now we're getting into some of the bigger ones. Knives are basically utilities, so they're automatically better than just your hand, so they automatically get up to a 2. And they bump themselves up to a 3 because this one is like a really basic knife. You can cut with it, you can stab with it, you can have great control with it, and you can throw it. Now I had to throw that lightly because I have a very good track record. I did not save a clip, but you can probably see when I use this, I don't have a good track record with throwing things at all. A good track record with almost hitting myself, but not throwing things. Now, don't worry, I will put all of these away into the respective Meijer basket that I got one day. I don't remember how I got that. Next is a slightly bigger knife. It's the same story. Like, that was a 3. This is going to be a 3. It's just a knife. Good utility. Good thing. In fact, literally just because you can't... I might actually bump it to a 4 because of the utility, both of these. But it's going to stay like this because, well, they're standard. 3 is standard. They're not the worst in their category, but they're not the best. They have lackluster range. They have lack of damage that they could cause. And also, if you do firearms, the only reason why they get bumped up or not is ammo. For example, Nerf darts, you can re-retrieve. Like, you can see right here, you can achieve them, so it got bumped up to a 3. But it doesn't do damage, so it never got bumped up past that. Damage also is a good check for it. Like, if it does, like, no damage, like, you're just like, it's not going to get very high, but it has good utility, it's going to get high. If it does good damage and good utility, like a knife, it's going to be bumped up higher. But anyways, enough rambling. Next, on to a hatchet. This one, I will be getting a better one, but hatchets, especially ones this small, are mainly used for splitting smaller logs and cutting tree branches. These are not weapons, these are tools. But if need be, they hurt. Like, you'd be like, oh, it didn't crack. You also have to remember, flesh is weaker than cardboard at times. And this was the straight end. Now, this is a flat end right here. And just a little bit less force than I did there can start splitting. I go a little bit more force, and it splits here in 2. People are like, oh, that's a weak spot. I did more damage with that one. They're not... I mean, I forgot to sharpen this like several times, but hatchet's got to be a 3 because they're just too useful to be put any higher. And that one is what I'm basing it off of. Next, we're going back in time. 1918 replica trench knife. I gotta get a replacement blade for this because I want to use it as a knife, but holy shit, that's shiny. Now, trench knife was mainly used to combat, well, trenches. This one doesn't have any slashing power. Like, I'm completely fine after doing that. Normally, you shouldn't do that with a knife. Actually, don't do that with anything that's considered sharp. Now, you do have good stabbing power. Even though I didn't do a good stab, you have good bashing power. And it's brass knuckles, which frankly are completely fucking useless. So, which means you have some pretty high punching power. Only because of the knife aspect. That's it. Only because of the knife aspect. It gets bumped up to a 3. Like, sure, you have a window breaker, you have brass knuckles, so it does good weapon damage. It's a 2. Brass knuckles are always going to be a 2 no matter what you put on them, unless that thing you put on them is a knife. Then you have utility. In fact, due to the amount of articulation that you surprisingly have, like, it's a common misconception that the brass knuckles don't have good articulation. You literally just adjust your hand ever so slightly, and now you can move it. And this doesn't undermine power at all. If anything, it makes it easier. Now, I accidentally... Hold on, let me just fix that. I accidentally just fucking stopped recording. So, I'm gonna have to edit this. But we're on to the next one. A smaller machete. Just a little one. They can get pretty big. This one's small. I guess for clearing foliage, which I did use one of these to do. They have higher utility. You can sharpen things. You can do all sorts of things that you can do with a machete. It gets a 3 rating because it can do some pretty okay damage, like just a little bit of a and it does okay damage if you put a little more finesse, like a fucking fuck you. Next, I don't even know if the United States Marine Corps used this, but this is a U.S. Marine Corps Blackout Sword. I don't know if it's standard issue. All I know is that they probably used this back in like 1940s because it's the Marines. Now, I'm not going to hit this because I got this traffic cone fair and square. Like, I'm going to say I bought the traffic cone just because I can. Now, this, it's a sword, so it's going to be a bit higher damage-wise than that. Like, I'm talking stab damage, slash damage, fucking articulation, movability. It's going to be much better for combat than those. Usability, however, goes down since, well, with a knife, you can use it to sharpen things. You can make spears with them easily. For, like, a screwdriver, you can, like, just screw things together. You can do much more with a screwdriver than you can with a sword. But because of the sword being a sword, you can harvest things, so it's going to be a 3. 3 is standard. 3 is okay. 3 is not bad. And I also just really like cutting things with this. Like, it's a little bit more force than like a katana, but I don't have the money to buy one of those, and this was cheaper. So don't expect the best performance. Next up, a tool, a pickaxe. This one I'm not going to actually swing and directly hit anything, because the only thing strong enough to survive hitting that without damaging anything inside is this. I don't want to damage it. Now, a pickaxe, it's a pickaxe. It's used to break rocks, and this point right here can do a lot of damage. I guess you can use it as like a staff. It's built as a tool. It can be used as a weapon. So it's a 3 only because it does a really good job at its job. And, well, I guess I can't hit it normally, so get half-assed punching. I will be remaking this video once I get better equipment. And last but not least, my most expensive piece, Warhammer. Now, I have surprisingly found much uses for this, like icebreakers since I live in Michigan, cane, and these things are relatively lightweight and fairly nimble, fairly easy to use. Now, I did get people say that these were heavy, but that's only because of their size and the fact that this head is, in fact, solid steel. I think it's steel. It's a solid metal, okay, and metals tend to be heavy. Except some. Now, the reason why I saved this for last is because it's close to a 4, actually. A level 4. Albeit not as close as you might think, but closer, since I've found uses for it. Damage-wise, two-handed, you can do some pretty okay damage. Like, barely moving it is doing some damage. Like, it's vibrating my floor by just me doing that. So if I were to actually just punt it, which I missed and hit this and slid off, if I were to actually fucking punt it correctly, it can do some damage. And this is just really fun to swing around and hit things with. And that's weapons for right now. There will be more added to the collection. If you want to see a remake of this when I have better equipment, better video quality, better everything, click like, hit subscribe, and tell me what else I should add to my collection. Anyways, hope you enjoyed. Have a fantastic day. And bye.